It's really wonderful to be back on this fascinating panel. The last time, the theme on this panel was Unbound, and Unbound was about celebrating Karnataka's enduring leadership. And with this year getting into pole vaulting is about unleashing our ambition. So it's a logical flow from where we go to. And beautiful session with BTS 2025 on announcing the various policies. Really very good. So, in the interest of time, let's get clearly started off with you, Minister Priyank. Clearly, being at the helm of policies, bringing out all the right policies across, and more importantly, making Bangalore, Karnataka as a destination place for various investments across. You've been a very strong advocate on the policy part of it. From maintaining Karnataka's lead as a laboratory for innovation, what policies and economic enablers do you see can help transform us into the next level from your perspective?
Well, I think firstly, we need to devise policies where investments don't come toward, where talent doesn't go towards investment comes towards talent. And Karnataka has a great talent base everywhere. And that's why a few months back, we have announced the LEAP program, that's the Local Economic Accelerator program. So in this program, we are figuring out the cluster strength. So we have designated Manipal, Udupi, Mangaluru as a cluster, Hubli, Belagavi, Dharwad as a cluster, Bengaluru Rural, Mysuru as a cluster, Kalburgi as one cluster, Raichur as a cluster. And what is the demographic dividend we have there, the talent pool that is available there, and what sector can we disrupt there? So based on that, we are ensuring, we are accentuating, we are accelerating technology there. So in IIIT Dharwad, just 2 days back, we announced Deftronics as well as Quantum. In Kalburgi, we announced the Agriculture Accelerator Program. In Mangaluru, we announced the Center of Excellence for Marine Biotech. So I think that if we want to pole vault, we need to create these local economic engines for innovation, for invention. So build a solid base of skills, top it up with accelerators, top that up with centers of excellence, top that up with budget, and top that up with policies. I think when we do this, we will be able to ensure that innovations and inventions happen across Karnataka. We'll be able to get the right talent to invent and innovate, not just for Karnataka, but for the world as well. So I think that is something that the government of Karnataka has taken extremely seriously, the LEAP program. And probably in a year or two, you will see great results coming out from our initiative of Beyond Bengaluru.
I think very well put across that it's not one piece of it, but it's a layered approach of how right from the foundational level as we go to the top. So, Chris, if I may pick up from this point about pole vaulting Karnataka, pole vaulting things across, I think you've always been a strong proponent that, look, we got to move from being implementers of others' ideas to becoming inventors. And you very clearly see that, look, there are these new spaces in quantum AI where nobody's a leader yet, and that's a space with which we can. So, would like to get your views on that and how you see that as an art of possible for us here.
So we have the largest talent base in the country when it comes to technology. But this talent has to now reimagine the role that they're going to play from a services-led growth to a product-led growth. Now this is necessary for Karnataka. Minister Kharge already talked about each city, each location taking responsibility for a particular area. So with that in mind, our professionals will have to think about what are the white spaces in these areas and how can they build products in those areas where nobody is yet a leader, but we can now become a leader. Second thing is our IT professionals will have to think about collaborating across the value chain, not just in their own organization, but they need to work with the research ecosystem. They need to work with the startup ecosystem. They can act as investors, mentors, founders, employee. Many roles are there. So they need to make sure that they actively participate in creating that complete value chain in Karnataka, not let some other region or state take part in that at this point. And last but not the least, I would say that jobs are changing and jobs will continue to evolve, change, and we have to make sure that we stay relevant. We have to be retrained. We have to make sure that we have a role to play in making this happen. So the three things that I talk about are, how do you create a product-led economy within Karnataka, the white spaces that you have? How do you collaborate across the value chain from all the way to research to innovation to entrepreneurship? And last but not the least, how do you stay relevant?
I think you spoke about product, and I'll come to Prashanth, but before that, Kiran, to you, right? I think with the convergence of biotechnology, computation, and engineering all happening close by, you're very passionate about this with bio-digital sovereignty as a area. And from your point of view and your vantage point, how do you see that we should not miss this wave, but actually not just create, but ride the wave of this area?
So first and foremost, I think it is well recognized the world over that the future of biology is computational. And Karnataka had the vision to create the Institute of Biotechnology and Bioinformatics and Applied Biotechnology 25 years ago as an institute that was going to focus on computational biology. And I think that investment, that vision has paid off big time for us, because today IBAB is considered a center of excellence, not just in Karnataka, but in the country. And I think we should keep investing in now this sector in a big way, because we have the unique opportunity of combining, IT and biotech in a futuristic way. And I think investing in bio-IT or computational biology or quantum biology is going to make us lead globally. So to me, the opportunity we have in Karnataka, in India, is to double down on ensuring that we get deeper and deeper insights into biology through these AI, computational biological models, data science, etc., etc. And what better place than Bangalore to do all this? And we already have a number of companies who are already beginning to invest in this sector, and we should support them. And I think Karnataka has played a very important role in supporting these nascent companies that have already initiated a lot of active work in this area. I must remind you that even Art Park is focusing on computational biology based startups. And the CRISPR bits technology has also come out of this understanding. And I think if you think about the fact that Strand Genomics was one of the very early startups in India that focused on genomics and the power of IT to deliver on genomics, tells you that the mindset is there, the thinking is there, but we now need to invest big time to get that going. Every company today in the world which operates in the biopharma, biotech space cannot succeed without embedding AI, without embedding deep tech in whatever it's doing. Today, the kind of deep insights we're getting into biotech and biology is something mind-boggling. And I think without that, you will, and actually with it, you will be innovating in a transformational way and in an exponential way. And I think that's what we should be focusing on. I know that in our own company, we are really, really beginning to invest big time in deep tech and, computational systems. So I think this is a unique opportunity. And I think our biggest competition is China. I think Chinese companies have already started investing in this area. And I think we as a country must take that risk, because risk is the biggest deterrent of investing in these new areas. And we have the boldness, we can take affordable risk, because whatever we do in India is very competitive when it comes to cost of investing in this kind of risk. That's my view.
Thank you. I think from laying out that look, it's not really starting off now, but it's been there before as a foundational layer by the institutions, and building on top of that.
And we have the at-scale data that we must collect and leverage and convert into IP.
Absolutely. Thank you. So with that, getting on to you, Prashanth, clearly you're a firm believer of capital following clarity of vision. And with that as a backdrop, it's sort of a counter question to you, right? Do you really believe, and do you believe that India's startup ecosystem is ready to pole vault into creating IP, which is where our focus has to go, especially in ventures around deep tech, synthetic biology, dev tech, and many of those areas? What's your view on that, Prashanth?
Yeah, I think just taking from where Kris was talking about India's capability to transform itself from just coding to product creation, I think our entrepreneurs today are able to become innovators and are going beyond just building apps for urban convenience. I mean, we have built enough convenience apps for our cities, but I think what we really need now is capabilities that give our nation leverage and the ability to use our sovereign capabilities, not only just in biology, could be in defense, could be in semiconductors, space tech, across the board. And these were areas that startups were not necessarily there. But I think the policies that the government has done has built those bridges between ISRO and startups, the space tech policy, in electronics, the policy, and in defense, the ability to now 30% of all defense budgets are going to be electronic, something to do with AI and tech. Autonomous technologies are going to overtake most of traditional defense tech, and for that I don't think there's anything better than startups to be able to build these technologies. Now, when you talk about pole vaulting, one of the biggest advantages we have, and Kiran spoke about that, the momentum we are able to build in product innovation through frugality, and I think that is going to be a major element of our startup ecosystem. The second aspect is I think we have used Jugaad for so many things. I think where we have not used Jugaad is for our IP. So I think the new RDI scheme and a lot of the initiatives from our state actually give startups the capabilities to land global IP from anywhere in the world into India and replicate it here. I think we don't have another 10 years to build all the IP and all the academic capabilities for this. I think what we have is very ingenious and very capable startup entrepreneurs who'll be able to accelerate and build this as a lab for innovation by leveraging global IP. And I think this is what will make a big difference. So the speed with which you saw startups adopt and deliver everything in 10 minutes to your home, by the way, that 10-minute delivery at home does not happen anywhere else in the world, only in India. I think we have similar capabilities that we need to apply for deep domain areas and IP that is going to leverage, the startup entrepreneur being able to leverage global IP and frugality in India.
I think connecting what Kris said about from services to product, and the way you spoke about, look, we have to move. We've done great work in delivery of services or to the homes, but now through apps, we're now getting to real product engineering. I think I want to go back to one, double click on what you said, Minister Priyank, which is about the demographic, getting investment to where the talent is, and linking that back to the demographic dividend that India really has. You've championed programs like Yuva Yuga and Future Skills and many of those areas. So what are the top two changes that we must need to bring to India's education to employment as a thought process, if you want to take that as an area?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer because the technology is changing so dynamically. We are unable to keep up. It's just not Karnataka or India, anywhere in the world. But what we have done is to ensure that we don't miss out the emerging technology skill sets. We have formed a small council, which is headed by me and the skill minister, to figure out where each sector is headed with respect to their skill sets. So it could be cybersecurity, it could be financial services, bioengineering. So we are talking to over 200 industries and getting their feedback on what could be the possible skill sets that might be needed for the next 10 years. So, like you said, the Yuva Yuga program was earlier. That got disrupted. Now we have the Nipuna program, wherein we are spending more than 300 crores on reskilling and upskilling people in emerging technologies. So we are talking to industry, we are talking to different sectors, we are trying to understand where they are headed and what is it that we could do to ensure that their talent that they already have stays relevant, number one. Number two, what is it that we could do to ensure our current crop who are in the universities are more employable than ever before. So the idea is to skill locally so that they can work globally. Our talent is no more limited only to the Karnataka ecosystem or the Indian ecosystem. I'm sure that whenever you speak to any of your colleagues abroad, where your CEOs, CTOs, everybody is looking for talent. When I speak to ambassadors, when I speak to consul generals, they're all saying they're looking for skilled people. And the government of Karnataka understands this and is ensuring that we bridge this gap as quickly as possible. Because if I try to put it through the academic council, through a group of experts, it's going to take me at least a year or so. By the time the academic council vets it, evaluates it, comes back, you cannot do it this academic year, sir, we'll take it up next academic year. One academic year is 4 financial quarters. So that disruption is something that I, as an IT minister or as an industry, industry minister, cannot wait for. So we have brought in these quick fixes which are ensuring that we deliver employable skill sets in emerging technologies along with our industry partners. For the first time, we are allowing CSR money and the corporate development fund along with the government fund to come in. So it's just not that we are just making a policy by isolating the industry. We are working with the industry. We are putting our money in it. We are asking them to put their money in it. We are asking them what kind of disruption they are expecting and how do we correct that disruption in talent. So yeah, we are pretty hands-on on that.
I think very clearly when you speak about this, you can connect back to the good work that's happened by the government in bringing industry, academia, and the policymakers, all of them together, and having them give the inputs of what's the right thing. So building on that theme, talking about industry and academia, Kiran, and following that, Kris, to you is, like, how do we move from this, how do we build on from the mindset of problem solving to problem defining, and then how do we get the industry, academia to go to the next level of mentorship and so on? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think, we have to be very relevant in terms of the education we provide. And I think Karnataka government has actually got the right attitude to really make sure that our education stays relevant and stays relevant in terms of building skills and employable skills. That's very important. Now, I think the public-private partnership and the academia-industry partnerships, I think, are really, really beginning to become very visible. And what we need to make sure is that we create an enabling environment where we cut out all the kind of what the minister described as the bureaucracy that is involved in shaping our curriculum for the future. Time is not standing still. Technology is not waiting. And we have to make sure that we are absolutely cutting edge. So I think getting into these partnerships is very, very key. I know that we ourselves are working very closely with the Karnataka government. project-based learning, internship-based education, all this is going to be extremely important, where industry opens up its doors to academic institutions and to students, and most importantly to teachers and faculty, to come and understand what's going on in the world. See, very often I think education is working in silos. They are trapped in a kind of a time warp where they are giving out a curriculum that's dated. They need to see what's happening in terms of how industry is progressing, what kind of skills does industry need. So I personally believe internship programs are very, very valuable in the academic setting. Research-oriented, project-based learning is extremely important. We should not just be building technologies, we should be solving problems with technologies. That is a mindset you need. So you just explained about the 10-minute delivery. This was a problem that was solved in a country, in a city like Bangalore, where the traffic, the kind of intensity of traffic was making it very difficult to get any service delivered in time. And yet they found algorithms and ways of doing it in less than 10 minutes. I think these are the kind of very innovative companies and technologies that can actually start creating this ecosystem of innovative startups.
I think very clear on that, and getting on a similar path with you, Prashant. Bangalore's been the cradle of the IT evolution, revolution, whichever way you look at it, right? What role will Bangalore play in becoming the pole vaulting capital of the innovation economy, like the way you call it, as an opportunity for us to
so just to be a bit more specific on the types of innovation for deep tech, deep tech is a very broad term, and so I think one definition I would like to usually use is that deep tech becomes more commercial and real when you can replicate it and manufacture it. So bringing something out of the lab means that you'll be able to actually build the required capabilities to replicate that deep tech technology. So that's usually these days called advanced manufacturing. So advanced manufacturing is manufacturing that is grounded in deep engineering, and we have a very cost-effective, large base, and our talent density is not limited. I think the only talent density we have seen is IT folks, right? But we have a large engineering talent base that now we can deploy into advanced manufacturing, but we never use them. China used them quite a bit, but they have been, of course, in the forefront of what you would call as, high volume assembly manufacturing. Of course, China is really getting into the advanced manufacturing, but I think we can leapfrog there. We should pole vault. We should get into advanced manufacturing. I mean, there is value for, the assembly kind of manufacturing, because you do employ a lot of people, but our leverage is not going to come from there. So product-led innovation, process-led innovation, and equipment-led innovation. So all these three forms of innovation will foundationally somewhere leverage AI. And maybe AI in process innovation just makes things faster and more efficient. So in each of them, so being able to do this in a deep domain manner, like Kiran was saying, in biology the domain depth will be very different. In aerospace the domain depth is going to be very different. So a combination of all of this is what will help us pole vault.
I just want to add to that. One of the things we should remember is we have come up with some really path-breaking innovation even in the past. But we must make sure that innovation scales up. And we have population scale markets which we must leverage. We cannot allow really cutting-edge innovation to dwindle or to fail because we don't have enough commercial success. Kio is an example. It's a very innovative product. It is serving a very big need. And between government and private sector and public sector CSR, we must make sure that it scales up. We lost a big opportunity when we developed the world's first handheld, multilingual device, the computer. That should have been a worldwide success. But as an under-resourced country, we did not have government procurement because it was actually designed for mass-scale education. And it was going to serve a big purpose, just like what we are planning for KIO. But we failed to make a commercial success of it, and by the time, we even thought about it, iPad, Palm Pilot, everything came in and they just crushed the opportunity that we could have created with Simputer. So these opportunities are very, very small and narrow in terms of its time window. And we should not miss these opportunities. That's another thing I wanted to say.
No, I think you brought an interesting segue into the path of scaling across. And Kris, you're a very passionate believer and also been a proponent of how industry needs to engage and acquire startups so that they can translate that innovation back in, but also give them the platform to scale. What's your point of view on that, and how you do see that?
So Kiran talked about how we need to integrate with academia, with the ecosystem, etc. So I'm going to actually make this into a homework for industry. So industry must ask how much they are investing in R&D. They must make sure that they're investing more than global average. Otherwise, we will not catch up. Every company must ask the question, in my industry, am I below global average or above global average? Second question to ask is, how much of my R&D is within the company versus outside the company? I think 50% of the R&D must be invested outside the company. So that forces you to actually look at startups, that forces you to look at academic institutions, etc. The third metric you should look at is what percentage of your current revenue comes from products and technology introduced in the last 3 years or last 5 years. It will tell you how fast you are renewing your product portfolio. With such simple metrics and tracking this, and I would request the boards actually to ask this question to the CEOs and the senior leadership. This will force industry to play a very active role in making sure that the innovation ecosystem is very strong. Today, we think innovation ecosystem means startups only, but that's not sufficient. We need the large industry ecosystem that exists to also innovate. And if we don't do that, we will actually not succeed. So these simple questions and how we institutionalize these in industry, and that's why I'm saying this is a homework for industry, we should do this across every company, every industry sector.
But I think you should ask Prashanth the question, how, risk taking our investors when it comes to innovation. Because I think the biggest problem industry has is the moment they increase their R&D spend, they are crucified.
But I think, there was not a huge understanding of the opportunity by the investors. I think the investors are getting better at understanding that opportunity. And, if you see deep tech was not a mainstream something. Everybody was worried about the gestation period. It takes 10 years for these.
Yeah, but I think there's a little bit of a fad. Today, anything to do with AI, people will invest.
No, beyond AI, I think people are starting to look at Kiran. Anyway, I think if you look at the number of startups,
what I'm glad is government is stepping forward now to actually backstop in some way. The RDI fund which Government of India has created is $12 billion. We don't have a private sector VC fund which is $1 billion. Government of India has created a $12 billion VC fund for deep tech. Second, the Karnataka government, I'm really surprised. Every time I talk to Mr. Kharge, he talks about a new set of investments. These are not investments, these are actually grants to startups, etc. I think you should have also a policy for SME for innovating and creating products and things like that. So, government.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.